This is Felt Recoil.
Alright, welcome. It is the Felt Recoil podcast. That guy was not a liar. That's good. My name is Chris, and across from me, my hetero life mate.
It's Patrick.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Long day, but I'm good. I'm here.
That's every time, right? Wednesdays tend to be the long days around the Felt Recoil podcast. Do you feel like you can hear yourself? Just fix this technical issue here right at the beginning.
I'm a little muffled, but
You're a little low there. Hold on, go ahead.
How about now?
Do you feel better about that? I feel better about that.
I do.
Okay. All right. Moving right along. A lot to get to on the program. Harvey Weinstein? Weinstein. What did we agree on? I've already forgotten. Weinstein.
I think it's Steen.
Is it Steen? Harvey Weinstein. That sounds right. He's being accused of a whole mess of stuff. You probably already know that, but do you know how we're going to fix it? Because we are. I have an idea. Don't worry. I got you. Also, we love saying I told you so. So you've come to the right place. Last week, we talked about the NRA getting behind the idea of further regulations on the bump fire stock. Now legislation is being introduced to Congress, and it's every slippery slope we could have predicted from last week, and then some. We'll dive into that. And why does the information on the Vegas shooting keep changing? Why does that keep happening? Talk about feeding every conspiracy theorist out there. They're doing a great job of that. But we'll get to that and a whole lot more. But first, let's talk about this week's charity of choice. Remember, we basically just spend money to do this podcast, and we don't come here and ask you for money every week. We try to come here and show you good places where you could spend your money, good causes to get behind. And if you like giving a little bit to go a long way, here's a great way to do that. Visit feltrecoilshow.com/charities, and the charities we go through every week are all listed there. But this week, we want to highlight the Gleason Initiative Foundation. No white flags, Team Gleason. This is a charitable 501c3 nonprofit corporation. There's a great documentary on Amazon Prime about the Gleason Foundation. You should go watch it and learn all about Steve Gleason and what put him on this path. But what they do is help provide individuals with neuromuscular diseases or injuries with leading-edge technology, equipment, and services. Steve and Team Gleason recently opened the Team Gleason House for Innovative Living in New Orleans. It's only the second of its kind in the world, and they need your money to keep things like that going. They're going to create a global conversation about ALS to hopefully find an end to Lou Gehrig's disease. I'm telling you, the documentary will sober you up. It's humbling. It's incredible to watch a guy who had so much in front of him really have it ripped out from underneath him at no fault of his own, but stay so positive about it and really use something like that to affect such positive change. So Team Gleason is our charity of choice this week. You can visit teamgleason.org for more information. Okay, can we first say hello to our buddy Andrew? Andrew, thanks for the convo on Sunday, I think it was, on Facebook. We've got new stickers coming in, and we'll get those in the mail to you, like I said, as soon as possible. But nice to meet you via Facebook. Wanted to say hello. Thanks for listening. Thanks for spreading the word among your friends, as you said you were doing. Glad to hear that. And it's an interesting thing that we sit in this room and we do this. I like to acknowledge if anyone I haven't met in real life before actually says they would ever listen to this, that someone beyond the walls is actually paying attention and hopefully getting something out of it. If it's a laugh or maybe a nugget of wisdom or whatever, it's nice to have that. And so
far, we've got both of our moms.
Well, slow down. Your mom.
Okay. My mom.
Right.
Your dad. My dad. Your wife. Lindsay doesn't listen.
Slow down. Again.
Okay. Well, your wife can hear us now.
Yeah,
though.
She's in the next room. This is the feedback I get from my wife about anything having to do with the podcast. I walk out of the office every Wednesday. She goes, "How's the podcast?" I go, "Good." And if she happens to have caught me saying one thing, like one slip,
you're gonna get it, buddy.
So anyway, you told me that you'd only had one girlfriend before we met. Oh no.
My point is,
yes,
we know of a handful. So
of girlfriends?
Well,
people listening. I'm sorry.
Those two.
Still,
I know of a handful. Your wife, not so much. Well,
she knows the truth.
Now she knows.
She knows the truth. It was nil. See, I had lied. Oh yeah, I had a girlfriend before. It was great. You should be one too.
I was wondering how you tricked her. But
Sorry,
now we know that there's other people listening.
It's kind of nice, right?
So every once in a while when somebody pops up and tells us that, it's pretty cool.
It's a little bit validating. But it was great timing on Andrew's part because we had a tree go down in the neighborhood, so there's no power. So what a day and age we live in where there's no power, and I think, man, what am I supposed to do? Well, my cell phone's charged, so I just pull my cell phone out, and I'm sitting on the couch. My wife's like, I'm going to take the kids to the store. You want to get out of the house? I was like, nope, if everybody's leaving, I'll just
sit here in the dark.
I'll veg out on the couch and play on Facebook. So that's what I was doing. But anyway, Andrew said, and I thought this was very perfect for us. Almost, I guess it's poignant to what we do here. He's studying to be an engineer, and he says he's in a college, and he appreciates that we say exactly how things are, no BS or bias. And that they try and use that when they get in arguments on campus with the the cultural elitists that are out there populating college campuses, and I think near Atlanta. I know he's in Georgia. For some reason, I assumed Atlanta, but maybe I was wrong. Anyway, it's good talking to him, and we kind of chatted a little bit about, hey, yeah, man, I know what it's like, and you're there too now, so keep up the good fight. And we'll help as best we can. I don't know how. Just keep flapping our gums, I guess.
It must be working.
That's the easy way to do it. Can we talk real quick about the fact that every road leading to and from my house is currently under construction? I had to drive around a road closed sign to get home tonight because I thought my exit was still closed. You tell me it's not, but as of last night, the exit to leave work and come home was closed, so I just assumed it'd still be closed tonight because it's construction. It takes forever. So I took an alternate route only to find out that, that alternate route will be shut from October 17th to January 9th. They have a sign going on my alternate route. And then I get to the road I live off of, and there's a sign that says road closed. And I'm like, yeah, well, not anymore. I had to go, there's a main road dividing two streets in our neighborhood, and I usually come home and go over the main road and get into my part of the neighborhood, but there was a sign saying I couldn't go that way, and it's like a 6-minute detour, and I was like, I'm gonna creep down here and just see if the road really is closed. Like, there's not a bridge here, what could possibly be going on? It was a piece of road equipment was parked in the middle of the road, so I just went around it. But it occurred to me,
you rebel, you.
I'm terrible. It occurred to me though, I think that is where you start if you want to be an iOS developer for Apple. Stick with me. You've updated?
All right.
Despite my warnings. I also somewhat kind of encouraged you. Hey, they did fix the mail app, but everything else sucks because...
Which was my bugaboo.
Right.
The mail was garbage.
It used to be.
It was terrible.
Well, now it doesn't work at all. See, here's what happened. I said... when they announced the iPhone 10, okay, I was on my beach vacation with the family, and I did the podcast solo, and I remember thinking, what am I going to do? I have to sit here and talk to a wall, and it's kind of weird, but I remember...
You did a heck of a job, though.
You're right, sure, no. Least downloaded episode yet, yay, plaque on the wall.
I'll make you one.
I remember saying, there's no reason for me to buy the iPhone 10. I haven't seen anything that's blown my mind that makes me go, oh, yeah, it's water resistant. That's cool. Seems like it might be drop resistant. That'd be great. But there's no other, here's a definitive reason you have to go buy the iPhone 10. However, now there is, because the construction crew guys that are now developing Apple apps came into Apple and they said, all right, listen, Apple, we get what you're doing with your sleek devices and, being innovative in the field of technology, but take it from us. If you just tell people that it'll be ready in a little while, you basically put cones up, take your time with it. They don't get mad. They have to have their phone, right? They're gonna trust us. You can take your sweet, loving time, do it at your pace, do it your way. Ain't nobody gonna argue. And so Apple says, you know what? We're gonna roll out iOS 11. And you're gonna go with that mentality, go roll it out, and we'll see if it works. And because you update, and as always, it was a sluggish update. My battery dies 10 times faster than normal now. I can't even make it a full day with a battery.
No, that's not happening.
So
there's no way.
Then yesterday, well, to be real clear, when did 11 come out? The new operating system 11 was 2 weeks ago. Let's say 2 weeks ago. I think 2 weeks ago is fair, right? And I waited a couple days, downloaded it. It was very slow. Nothing seemed to work right, but there's always that patch. Always a patch. Always. So I say...
Well, it's like a rule of thumb is you don't download their stuff right away.
Right.
Because it's never quite right. So you wait, and you'll hear everybody complain about it, and you'll be like, yeah, but I didn't do it yet because I'm smarter than you. And then the patch comes out, and then you download it.
Imagine being one of the first people to buy an Apple Watch and how hosed you got on the deal. It's not water resistant. You can't wear it in the shower. It doesn't take or make phone calls, which I thought they always did. I thought that was the whole point, was I didn't need my phone. I could leave my phone and I had my watch and I could respond to text messages, but I find out now that was just Bluetooth. It wasn't actual cellular technology in the phone. And I'm like, well, I'm really glad I never bought one because I would have bought it under this very false impression. But anyway, they released... So
what did it do?
It was...
I guess I don't know either.
Oh, you didn't... Oh, sorry. Yeah, colors. Oh. There were colors and Toy Story icons. You know any of that?
Oh.
Yeah. It's only like $500 to have...
Probably could get one on Craigslist for like $6 now, huh?
Yeah, I mean, they're obsolete. The first generation is already obsolete, and that's what Apple does so well, is usually they convince you of a reason you need their new whatever. They slow roll you. I'm not convinced I need to replace my iPhone 6.
Well, but they do it in their own Apple way with their keynote speeches.
Yes. Didn't we watch a parody of that recently?
Overly dramatic.
So good. Yeah.
It's the best thing we've ever made.
Oh, that's wrong. Hold on. Like you gotta get that uppity British accent going first. Never before has Apple ever done anything so spectacular. It's like a perfect mix of that highbrow I'm better than you British accent and the NPR cadence. Yeah, you listen to NPR and those people at NPR, they all talk the same. I couldn't help but wonder, why did Patrick wear gray? Right? But then you have to add that British accent. Never before at Apple has anything ever been so innovative since October of 2016. And then they get that schlub, who doesn't have any hair left because he sits between white walls all day, every day. He's like, so basically, 3 years ago, I thought, what can't the phone do? And I thought, well, you can't drop it, in a tub of water. And I brought that to my boss, and my boss said, save that, Steve. You're getting a little ahead of yourself. Anyway, what were we talking about? Where were we going with this? The point is, I think the construction guys took their philosophy to Apple and said, trust me, you can slow roll everything. You can do it halfway. Nobody's going to care. They can't argue because, look, people have to drive on the roads. They have to get to work. They're going to put up with your crap. People have to have phones. They have to stay connected. They're going to put up with your crap. And now, the only reason I have to buy an iPhone 10, and I kind of had this realization the other day, you know how they say there's self-awareness, and then there's like what's the other term? Like, there's self-esteem and there's self-awareness.
Okay.
That's what I'm looking for. And there's a difference there. So, my self-esteem says I took 2 Travis Haley classes. I can kill everybody in the room if I need to. But my self-awareness goes, no, because you probably are a little bit slower. So calm down there, Kemosabe. Sorry, I didn't mean to be racist. I'm sorry to Japanese people, whatever Kemosabe is.
I like that you don't even know.
No, I offend without discrimination.
Fair enough.
That's
you
me.
Discriminate undiscriminatingly.
Right. It's like I used to tell, I used to tell girls it's not cheating if you're both married because then it cancels out. My wife won't buy into it. No, so here's the point. It's not racist if you offend every race. So they get together and they go, I'm watching the iPhone 10 keynote the other day, or actually just a little video on it, and I say to myself, the only reason I'm interested is because the update has made my 6 suck so bad. I've got an iPhone 6 that has like 250 gig on it now. I should never have to buy another phone. The new camera looks nice. That's great. I'd like to have a better camera on my phone, but do I really need that? No, not really. So is it worth $1,000? No, absolutely not. I got a $2,000 camera sitting to my right. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to have that.
Right.
But I've caught myself convincing myself that I might need to go get that because now my phone is so terrible because the update is so bad.
Well, I think that's what Apple does, though, is they force you into the necessity, because I have a 6 as well with like
loser
200. I know, right?
I do too. Yeah.
We're both losers then. But I have the same, probably the exact same phone as you.
Don't lose your thought. We got to put an asterisk here. Not as big of losers as our buddy Will, who still has literally the original iPhone that came out in 2001. But go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Will. I didn't know he was going to drag you under the bus like that.
No, we talked about it. We talked about it when he did his knife thing. Remember? He brought all the knives. We had that episode about the knives. We were making fun of his iPhone.
I guess I don't need to apologize. He's kind of proud of it.
Yeah. Good for him. But I don't know what it's like to live under a rock in the Stone Age, so I can't go down that route. I can't regress. I can't help how amazing I am. I can't regress to Will status.
All right.
For the record, I only say these things because I know I'll see Will, and then I get to laugh about it with him. All right, sorry. Go ahead.
I don't really know what I was saying. Oh, yeah. So I was saying...
totally hijacked
you. They basically make you have to upgrade. So I feel like they're doing this on purpose.
Yeah.
Does that make me a tinfoil hat wearing
crazy
person? Because I talked to a bunch of people, and they're like, yeah, they fixed this and that, and like we talked about the mail.
Mm-hmm.
And the mail is better.
Yeah.
As far as functionality, but it's slower now.
Yeah.
So there's that. I mean, but everything seems to take more time than it should, or that it did right before I upgraded.
I updated again last night, and for the first 12 hours of my day today, I could not get a single app to work on my phone. They wouldn't even load. I would press it, it'd start to populate, and then just close everything down. I don't know what they've done so wrong, but they've really wet the bed on this one. I hope they fix it. It's really, 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 really bad. We'll see. I don't know. You know what I like to call this segment, though, is First World Problems. That is 17 and a half minutes of some serious first world problems. Can you imagine if we had real problems in life, how long this podcast would be? If I had, substantive things to gripe about? Good grief.
I don't have that kind of time.
Where is my phone? I want to read you this. I thought this was funny. If you're ever near Hillary Clinton, can you do something for me? Right before you punch her in the face.
I was going to say, can we not talk about it on this podcast?
I would punch her square in the nose. Hillary Clinton, this is from CNN. This is breaking news that I got a little push notification for. Hillary Clinton says she was, quote, sick and, quote, appalled when she found out about the sexual misconduct allegations against Harvey Weinstein. Here's what's fun. What I would love to do to Hillary is I'd like to get up next to her with a microphone. I'd say, hi, Hillary. I'm Christopher Million. I'm a big fan of you and your husband. Great. Yeah, listen, what advice would you give to an aspiring rapist who wanted to keep it all quiet? And then I just want to watch her face, because I'm just so... Speaking of appalled, I'm appalled at the idea that this woman has enabled a serial rapist her entire adult life. Bill Clinton has never not been raping women, okay? It hasn't been happening. And quite frankly, I don't know what the difference is. Okay, I'm going to tread a really thin piece of ice here. So apologies if I offend you. But hear me out. Rape, as generally categorized, is a horrific and violent crime. Side note, it's why I oppose illegal immigration. Besides all the other reasons below it, my biggest opposition to illegal immigration is that the women are brutally raped as they come across the border. And then there are American businessmen who live in very fancy, nice houses who hire the men who might have raped those women because they're cheaper labor. That's my big problem with illegal immigration, okay? The rape is a problem. It's a pandemic at the southern border. And if you don't believe me, just go down there and look at the trees, because they literally rape the women, steal their underwear, and hang it from trees. I have a huge problem with that. So I don't want my point to be misunderstood. But what is the difference between the generalized version of rape, where a man is brutally forcing himself on a woman, and where a man like Bill Clinton uses his power, prestige, and authority to force himself on women, where a man like Donald Trump brags about the fact that if he meets a famous woman, because he's wealthy and successful, he can do whatever he wants to them and they won't fight back? Is there a difference? Because I don't really see it. In both instances, a man is forcing sex upon a woman who doesn't want it. Maybe in one instance the woman fights back continually, and in the other she plays along because she doesn't want to lose her job, or she doesn't want to not get the part in Harvey Weinstein's experience. Or in another part, she's an impressionable intern inside the Oval Office being penetrated by a cigar by the current president of the United States, who will later, by the way, lie about it under oath, commit a felony and perjure himself. And then his friends will say, okay, so he had sex. Big deal. Big deal. He had sex with an intern. Get over it. That's not the deal. That's not the deal. By all accounts, I think you could fairly say he preyed upon her, manipulated her, and then assaulted her in a way that was all mental and forced himself on her physically. We know he settled rape allegations outside of court multiple times. Women have come out and said, sure, here's all the details. And did we talk about that, where I said I want a law on the books where we no longer settle lawsuits as city governments? I want this to stop, where people sue city governments like Michael Brown's family and all that crap, where they can sue and get $1 million. I want that to stop. As a society, we need to say no more will we settle when our name is being tarnished. We will pay extra. We did talk about that. If I'm Bill Clinton, if I'm me, okay, who doesn't have a lot of money in the bank, and a girl even came up today and accused me of a sexual relationship, which, by the way, we live in Greenville County, South Carolina. Our current sheriff is going through this right now, where a young lady is accusing him of an extramarital affair and sexual assault. Not going to happen. She's already she made her allegations, and
that's
now she's...
some wackadoodle stuff going on there.
Yeah, she's a little unbelievable, to be quite frank with you. We could get into that, but we won't. The point is, I want our sheriff to fight it tooth and nail to prove himself completely 100% clear of all charges.
My understanding is that he is.
If a young lady knocked on my door right now and said 2 or 3 years ago, I had an affair with your husband, and my wife said, prove otherwise, if I had to lose everything we have, if I had to lose every item I own to prove that as a false allegation, to prove my loyalty to my wife, I would, okay? Opening jokes to this podcast aside, I want it to be clear to my wife the type of man I am. And I want it to be clear to society the type of people who lead the society. You don't settle rape allegations, molestation allegations. You don't settle that unless there's a hint of truth behind it, in my opinion, because your character and your name should be worth that much to you. Am I off base?
No, I don't think so. Not a bit.
Here's what we do. We just ask Hillary. Big fan. That's all I want. I want this on tape. Big fan of you and your husband. Well, thank you. What advice do you give to young aspiring rapists who want to keep it all hidden?
I think you got to butter her up first, though.
Oh, I thought I did with the I'm a big fan thing.
Well, no, that's a good lead-in, but I think you got to take it one step further and compliment her pantsuit. And then, because that will win her over, and then you're going to be able to really kind of hit her below the belt. You know what I'm saying?
Pun intended. Pun intended. Oh, man. Hillary, big fan.
And then you could close with just asking for a friend.
Love your pantsuits. Quick question. Is it a separate charge at the dry cleaner for the pants and the jacket, or is it just one pantsuit charge? Just asking for a friend.
Keep in mind, too, not only has she stood by a serial rapist herself and it covered for that crap all these years, but if you remember, in 1975, she defended a rapist and had those charges, I think, dropped or reduced, and then later laughed about it in a 1980 interview. So keep in mind that the person we're dealing with here, again, and also the person who, this was as they say, a quote-unquote known secret about Harvey Weinstein, and he was a major donor to the Clinton campaign, and now you got people asking, well, you know, what was the relationship here? Because obviously it sounds like everybody knew about it. So did Clinton know about it too? I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, It's one of the... Okay. We all have that friend that we make jokes about to their face.
The rapey one?
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know who you're hanging out with.
Bad people. I was also reading, by the way. I'm trying to read. I thought the guy that she defended in 75. Yeah. No, he was... Just to be real clear, a 41-year-old man she defended who was accused of raping a 12-year-old girl. I want to be real clear about the type of garbage Hillary Clinton's willing to put her name beside and say, let's do the best we can. She defended him, and he pleaded guilty to a lesser offense. She did laugh when recalling unusual aspects of the case.
That's just a sick individual, man.
Pause for a second and imagine yourself in a scenario where a 12-year-old comes to you and says, I'm being brutally assaulted by a man in my life. And you go, what? And the 12-year-old goes, I need you to help me. And you say, you got it. And then you help that 12-year-old, and someone later interviews you about it, and you're willing to laugh about an aspect of the case. Maybe you would laugh when you found out that the dude that did it came in and pleaded not guilty and had some crazy defense, and you'd go, yeah, he really thought we weren't going to pin it on him. He thought he was going to get away with it, and I'm so glad he didn't. But not some semantic where someone's interviewing you about the case and then you laugh wholeheartedly about, yeah, well, we just did this. We pulled this legal maneuver. Because if I remember the context correctly of that audio, that's what she's doing, is laughing about a legal maneuver they pulled.
Yeah, something about the evidence, physical evidence in the case or something like that is what she was actually laughing about.
There's probably no better meme on the internet than the one with Hillary pointing into crowds and it says, give that man a suicide. Give that man a suicide. Have you seen those? Those are so perfect because she's the embodiment of evil. She's a terrible person who's done terrible things. So many people around her and her husband have died. And now you can tie her husband to a serial rape habit, and you can tie her to the defense of a 41-year-old man who raped a 12-year-old child. I mean, what kind of people are we really dealing with here? So, of course, she's not batting an eye, and I put this on our Facebook page, and I stand by it. Everybody wanted to know why Hillary took her time with the Weinstein statement. Sure, he was a mega donor, but she also has to walk on some eggshells to make sure Bill knows she's not talking about him. When she comes out and speaks against sexual assault and raping women, she has to be really clear that she's not talking about her husband. Okay? A man who she couldn't even ball up and divorce publicly. She doesn't have the cojones to say, you know what, I'm not going to stay with... If Hillary Clinton is a woman who believes in women being empowered individuals who are able to make it on their own, then she should have, by all accounts, left Bill 20 to 30 years ago. But she doesn't believe that. She recognizes that it takes a powerful man to raise a woman to the echelon she needs to be on. Does she really believe that? I don't know. Do I believe women need that? No, my wife makes the most money in the family, okay? I tell her all the time, leave me, but can I keep some money? Do what you need to do. My wife's the breadwinner. My wife, by the way, I'll brag on while I'm talking about her. This is an American dream come true. My wife works for herself and makes more money than I make working for a pretty big company, okay? And my wife works for herself as a self-taught web designer. And my wife grew up in a tent in the woods in Michigan. Essentially as homeless as you get, except that by extension her family owned the property that they camped on. Till they got a pop-up trailer to live in for a few years, till she moved herself out of her family's house, trailer, whatever, at like 12 and 13 years old. And moved in with another set of the family, some cousins, and then pulled herself up by the bootstraps. And now supports a family filled with one big idiot and then 3 small children, right? So, I don't think that. I'm telling you that there are powerful women out there who are capable of doing their own things, who would leave a man in a heartbeat were he accused of such allegations and then tell her, listen, we're just going to take a little cash and we're going to settle this. Okay, we're just gonna take a little money out of the bank. She only wants $1,000. Okay, I'm gonna dip into savings. I'm gonna cash out part of my 401k. I'm totally innocent. But I mean, it's better to just make it go away.
But to your point, if they really are this strong, powerful woman,
they leave.
They're done. They're out. Case in point, Harvey Weinstein's wife hit the bricks. She's gone. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes.
But within about a day of the news breaking, she bolted.
I saw a very vulgar tweet about it that I won't repeat here. It was pretty funny. Yeah. What kind of example is Hillary Clinton setting to young girls all over the country? That you should stand by a man who does such things. In your house. In your home. You were living in the White House, and he's downstairs banging interns in the Oval Office in very crude ways, and then talking about it on TV. You want to have some fun? Go watch the Bill Clinton deposition where he's testifying and care about nothing else until you hear the word cigar and watch his face. He had no idea that they knew about the cigar. None. And when they say, is it true? Would she be lying to say that you penetrated her with a cigar? His face literally melts. He just into complete anger. Like, how did they know that? How did they possibly know that? I hate that man with all my being. What an abuse of power. What an abusive person. What a terrible person. And here she is telling us how appalled she is by Harvey Weinstein. Fine. Great. Weinstein, sorry.
Yeah, don't apologize to me. I don't know what his name is.
I only read this stuff. I think I've been clear about this before.
Can we just call him Matt Damon's buddy?
Yes, Matt Damon's friend. More on that in a minute. I have an idea. If you're not aware, by the way, Matt Damon and Russell Crowe helped kill a story in 2004 that was going to expose Harvey Weinstein for the monster he was. And Matt Damon and Russell Crowe personally called the reporter who was filing the report and said, it's actually not that big of a deal. Let it go.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're not going to mess with Jason Bourne.
I would. I'd fight him in a room right now.
Guy knows Krav Maga. He'll kill you with a big pen.
I don't care if Matt Damon kills me. I just want to go down swinging. And as I die, I would say, I punched Matt Damon right in his stupid face. Like I really did. You're not actually the genius from Good Will Hunting. You know, he's pummeling me. I'm like, it's all a lie. It's not who you are. It's a funny thing we do where we ascribe these guys the intelligence they have, you know. And yeah, he wrote it and all that. That's great.
No, but every time I think of Matt Damon, I think of, what was it, the Team America World Police?
No.
You remember that? Or he's like, Matt Damon! Every time,
yes.
Like every time the camera hits him, he just says his name.
Yeah.
So when I think of him, I don't think Good Will Hunting. I think the slow guy from Team America.
You could also think the gay dude from that serial killer movie, Mr. Ripley. So there you go.
Yeah.
Not a nice guy by all accounts. I do love, by the way, his buddy Jimmy Kimmel, how they have that thing going back and forth. I asked Jimmy Kimmel on Twitter this week, I said, hey, since we were so quick to blame gun owners for Vegas, are we going to be as quick to publicly decry Matt Damon for covering up rape? Fair's fair, right? I mean, if we're going to be mad at gun owners because a guy that happened to own some guns did some things, we are going to be mad at the friends of a rapist who we know went out and asked people to not talk about the fact he was raping women. We are going to be mad about that, right? But no, not really. We're not mad. We're not actually...
Because he's probably on right now, so he's probably talking about that right now. That's right. So
turn it on.
This guy Chris on my Twitter asked me, so let me go ahead and explain myself.
Have you seen the video of Kimmel from The Man Show where he stuffed things down his pants and had women guess what they were?
I saw the headline, but I didn't click on it.
Dude,
I don't know if I want to see it.
Pardon the pun. He has not a leg to stand on when it comes to mistreating women. And it's on film, and that's the best part. He's so sexually crude with these women. So crude and so vulgar to random women on the street that he's meeting. The overtones, the sexual innuendos. Trust me when I tell you, Jimmy Kimmel's not talking about Harvey Weinstein because he doesn't want to have to talk about what he's done.
Well, but that's the whole shtick. It's this holier than thou progressive mindset.
Yeah, there's no principle there, right? No principle.
No.
Just a matter of forcing your opinion on everyone else because it feels good to do it. Yeah, we talked about Kimmel last week. But I have an idea where all the lefties can get exactly what they want out of this situation.
Move to Australia.
No.
Oh.
Better. Check this out. I did a little bit of homework and a slight bit of math. It's going to make sense. All right. Harvey Weinstein's estimated net worth. Anybody know?
No
Good.
clue.
I do. $255 million. Okay? Estimated net worth.
That, but okay.
Yeah. Right. What a paltry sum. What have you been doing, Weinstein?
Well, I mean, isn't this guy like Mr. Hollywood? I mean, like, that doesn't seem like a lot of money.
But
for a guy like that.
That's estimated net worth. I don't know that includes what I'm going to suggest, but here's what we do. All right. So you have 4 women accusing him of rape. Is that right? I think it's 4.
I thought it was 3, but okay. I'm not following it that closely.
Let's just say that his wife is going to get a chunk, okay? And then
AKA half.
Right. All right, but let's be nicer about it because my theory is only going to work if we have all the money. Here's the thing.
Well, it's California, too. I don't know what they do.
Well, I'm sure he was a sleaze when they got married, so he had to have something gridlocked in there. Let's just do this, though. Let's take $55 million and we divide it among his victims and his wife, okay? And they get to split the $55 million. It leaves us with $200 million. Now, the left would have you believe that if we could find the poorest people in the country and elevate them to middle-class status, they would suddenly create industry and wealth like we've never seen before because the left believes in wealth redistribution, correct?
Well, I mean, we need the government to do that for us, so.
The government's going to do it.
Okay.
So the courts in California should seize all assets of Harvey Weinstein, okay? All of his assets and liquidate everything. As he sits, his net worth is $255 million. I don't know if that includes all of his assets being liquidized, but let's just assume it does. $200 million. The poorest county in the country is Wheeler County, Georgia. There are approximately 7,421 residents of Wheeler County, Georgia, okay? The median income for the county is $16,007.
Wow.
Here's what we do. We take the $200 million, we divide it by 7,421 people. So that's going to, every household is going to be flush with cash. Because let's just put an average household there at 3, okay? It's probably more. Usually in poor communities, I would think households are larger because people tend to live together, right? Because they can't afford to get out on their own. So you probably got some kids living with their parents. That's not scientific. That's Chris's assumption. But let's just say that's probably true. But we're going to make it 3, okay? 3 in a household. So how do we push an influx of cash into those houses? Well, we take $200 million. We divide it by the 7,400 some odd residents. And every resident, are you ready? Every resident gets $26,950. Which means, by the left's own arguments and standards, suddenly Wheeler County, Georgia should become a hub of innovation, technology, and business. It should have people who suddenly have business acumen that you and I could only dream of.
They could probably find a way to speed up our phones.
They could invent a new phone that would be that much better to own. And we would be carefree. And all those people, you're talking about 7,421 lives positively affected because we took all of this creep's stuff, liquidated it, and made all those people's lives better. And the country as a whole would see the positive side of it. That we would benefit is the word I was looking for. We would all benefit.
When did you and Bernie get together and come up with this plan?
Well, Bernie came up with a plan. I'm a big fan of using your plan against you.
Oh.
Hence the Macy Project. If you haven't signed our petition yet, I would invite that you do. We want to make all cars illegal. Because if guns kill people, so we outlaw guns, then certainly the fact that there's only about 12,000 homicides per year by gun should be less important to you than the fact that 40,000 people are killed by cars every year. It's 3 times as many.
And we're going to start with hatchbacks. Because what are those anyway?
They're cars, and they should be illegal. All cars. Make all cars illegal. The Macy Project. Find more at facebook.com/Macy Project. We have like a dozen signatures. Do you know that?
I did not know that.
Unreal.
I haven't even signed it yet. But I will. Don't look at me like that.
I'd like to welcome you back to the Felt Recoil podcast. My name's Chris. Across from me is nobody, because they all suck. Anyway. But can't we argue that if you can pump $26,000 into the pocket of one of the poorest individuals in the country right now, that's only a good thing, right, lefties? Yeah. So if Hollywood is so big on Bernie and they want to just help push the economy upward, then I don't see how they don't get behind our plan. I love our plan. Our plan's amazing.
All right.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to work,
right.
But I'm willing to try.
Well, we're always right, so remember that. Okay. This is, I like telling people I told you so. When things happen, if I can point to a specific instance, I don't really mind the misery people are going through at the moment. But if I can, identify a specific moment where I told them this was going to happen, I'll say, yeah, your house is on fire. I told you it would be because you were doing that. You're dumb. Well, yeah, but grab the extinguisher. It's right there. Well, wait a second. I'm wondering if you can hear me that I was right. Yes, I hear you. Okay, I just want to make sure. A bipartisan, and this comes from the fact that last week we said if the NRA, and I don't want to be overly mean to the NRA, these people who are revoking their lifelong memberships and all that, hold on a second. Hold on. Let's acknowledge that the NRA is actually not what the left wants you to think it is, okay? The NRA is not an advocacy group. 90% of the NRA's annual income from its members does not go to lobbying. 90% of it goes to education, okay? Less than 10% goes to lobbying. If you don't like the NRA now, I'm actually okay with it. I understand it. If you've never liked them, fine. I get it. But I'm not so sure it's the right move to run out and go, well, I'll never do business with the NRA again because they sold us up a river.
But I mean, look at the guys on YouTube that are doing it.
Sure. Well, look at Hickok 45. Let's use a very prime example here. He sided with them, right? When Slide Fire stocks were on the chopping block, Hickok 45 said, hey, no problem, we should do that. And I was like, whoa, slow down, dog. Because, as we said, now you've got triggers that'll be subject. You've got enhanced bulk carrier groups will be subject to it. If you think your charging handle will be ambidextrous or your safety will be... No way. They will tie everything to rate of fire. They will tell you it's carbine length gas only. Because mid-length has been shown to have a smoother rate of fire. So no mid-length gas systems on your rifles anymore. This is such a huge, wide cone for you to be wrong. I would just stay out of it. I'd go, hey, whoa, I don't know about all that, NRA. It says, I was reading this pamphlet the other day, and it had this thing in it called the Bill of Rights. And in it, there was this thing about guns, and at the very end... So there's this little blurb about guns. It's something like, it's like, we the people have guns, and we have the right to own them, and those rights, I think it pretty much says, shall not be infringed. I know those are the last words. It says, shall not be, yeah, that's four, okay, so the last 4 words, shall not be infringed. Yeah, pretty sure I saw that. So let's chillax on the whole idea of, well, we can give a little. Listen, the lefties are kids. You give them an inch, they take a mile. I mean, we can all agree to that, right?
Point I made last week.
Yeah. So this is what we were saying. We spent a good chunk of our podcast last week talking about, hey, this might not be a great idea. I'd slow down and get behind anything. Well, here we are.
The point I was going to make was,
please,
guys like Military Arms Channel were going in and more or less editing videos and going back and saying, hey, all those times where I endorsed the NRA, forget I ever said all that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think...
As if the NRA never did anything good in all that time,
Sure. I think that is a little bit of the sensationalism of the YouTube gun culture, in which we've talked about before. It's the guys who want to find whatever's broken first on whatever new gun comes out.
Right.
It's the same thing. So it's these guys just jumping on the bandwagon and saying, oh, well, the NRA's selling us up the creek,
Sensationalism sells, man. It's almost better than sex.
Yeah.
Honestly, when it comes to getting people to watch and listen, sensationalize, yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Well...
And I don't disagree with what you're saying either. I'm just saying, I think that's what a lot of this knee-jerk sort of, we're done with the NRA. Is the guy from the Military Arms Channel really done with the NRA? Like, come on, man. Like, okay, y'all are gonna break up. It's gonna be an off again, on again relationship. Let's be honest.
I would bet money dollars to donuts, it still says NRA certified pistol instructor on his resume somewhere.
Yeah, probably.
You know? And that's because it's a nationally recognized accreditation. It's not something you balk at. Is it easy to get? Yeah, it's pretty simple to get, actually. If you can shoot a paper plate 9 times from 15 yards, you can be an NRA certified instructor. It's not a huge deal, actually. Sorry, not a big deal. But insurance companies love it. People around the country hear it. Sounds great. Cool. Yeah, you took a day-long class that probably took about 6 hours, and you shot 15 times into a paper, 9-inch. I think it's a 9-inch diameter target. You have to hit. Good on you, but it doesn't mean a whole lot to the gun community. The other side of it, well, same side, separate argument, is very much like we talked about. Stop trolling people over the Vegas shooting and the verbiage they use.
Sure.
Stop being mad about clip and magazine, and certainly shut up about, well, it's definitely this rifle and it's not this rifle. Just stop with that. It doesn't do us any good to fight each other in the public forums. Hence, if the NRA makes a mistake, I think you voice your dissatisfaction with them as publicly as you will. Please, I'm okay with that. But say, hey, I don't agree with this. But you don't suddenly treat them like an evil organization with whom you will have no affiliation whatsoever. You think any of these guys are not going to go to NRA next year? You really think they're going to sit that one out? No.
Not happening.
They'll be over it. Their butt hurt will stop in about 6 weeks. They'll be over it, and they'll get back in the swing of things. So
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
When's the last time you heard anyone talk about boycotting Springfield?
Right. Exactly. Well,
okay.
they never stop taking their money, right?
Sure.
Well, I mean, we've got screenshots and video grabs of websites who were publicly opposed to Springfield and saying you should never do business with Springfield again, and they never stopped taking Springfield money.
That story broke when we were at NRA back in April, into April, and everybody was all in an uproar, and it lasted about a month.
All right.
And you had people in the store where we work that would, they come in and they, well, I don't want anything to do with Springfield.
Right.
Okay. Well, there's a Glock over here. What do you want me to do?
Right.
Okay. If that's not what you want, I don't know why you're standing in front of the case then.
Yeah.
So move along. Now, a little bit of time goes by. We'll call it a month, month and a half, and then nobody cares. No one has mentioned that. Not one time. I haven't seen it on the internet. I haven't talked to a person. Nothing. So I have a feeling this is going to go the same way, where you give it a little time and it goes away.
My favorite is, and I agree with you 100%, it will go away. They'll stop. Because they're all about the views. These guys don't live without the views on YouTube. They don't live without the attention on Instagram and whatever the case may be. And everybody's guilty.
That's why I have like 6 pictures up on my Instagram.
That's right.
Because, I'm all about the IG likes.
Everybody's guilty of falling into the trap of having a principle that makes sense to you until it affects your lifestyle. Okay? Look at the NFL. My principles make sense, and I'll kneel. But what would happen if the NFL suddenly actually enforced its own rules, where you were fined or suspended for taking a knee? You think as many people would be as quick to take a knee? No. Because supporting something is fine as long as there aren't any consequences.
Love that money.
I do want to say, by the way, backing up to Springfield, I had a guy the other day who told me how much he didn't like Springfield. Not for the politics of it. He goes, I hate Springfield. But do you have like any Tauruses or Ruger handguns? And I about lost my mind, man. I was like, what? What? You can't take Springfield, but you'll take a Taurus. Okay, to each his own, buddy. But I mean, talk about stepping down a notch, my God. And that's another funny thing is all the guys boycotting Springfield. Where was the outrage over Taurus? Right? We talked about that before, so I won't get back into it. The point is, yes, there's no consistency. There's rarely consistency with people of principle. There's very rarely consistency. And quite
those principles just tend to have a shelf life. I mean, that's the whole point, right?
Of course. And to be real candid with you,
that doesn't matter if you hate Springfield because you're, Joe Bob, Middle America, or you're Hillary Clinton.
Right.
Either way, your principles have a shelf life.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I bet if the Reese family was pushing some money towards Hillary Clinton, she'd probably shut up pretty quick about guns. But anyway, here we go. Bipartisan pair of lawmakers have unveiled legislation to ban a device used by the suspected gunman in the Las Vegas massacre. The bill was authored by Representatives Carlos Curbelo from Florida, a Republican, and Seth Moulton, a Democrat from Massachusetts. Check this out. The bill would prohibit the manufacture, sale, and use of the devices known as bump stocks. Ready? Or anything similar that is designed to increase the rate of fire but doesn't convert a semi-automatic rifle into an automatic weapon. Let me read that again from thehill.com. It will prohibit the manufacture of the bump stock, sale and use of the devices, or anything similar that is designed to increase the rate of fire but doesn't convert a semi-automatic rifle into an automatic weapon. So, if it increases your rate of fire but does not convert your gun into a fully automatic rifle, this bill will make it illegal.
Travis Haley's right hand just became...
They're going to chop his finger off.
Just became an outlaw.
Eddie, you better watch out. But can I say, Travis, don't get any ideas from me here, but if the anti-gunners decided to go after Travis Haley's finger, it might be exactly what we need. I'm not going to use the term cleansing, but I am going to say those guys might get juiced so hard they wouldn't know what hit them. And I'm not saying Travis would or wouldn't, but I am saying might not be, what I'm saying is I might support them trying to do it. I would support them trying to take Travis Haley's trigger finger.
I now have a vision in my head of Travis having a tax stamp in his pocket at all times for his finger. Because I have seen that guy, with my own two eyes, shoot a semi-automatic AR-15
right
as fast as any fully automatic I've ever seen in my life.
It's unreal. Remember? Yeah. And the lady next to us.
Yeah, I do remember.
The lady next to us said, what'd she say? Like, I didn't know they had fully automatic rifles.
Yeah, she really did.
Yeah. That was pretty awesome.
And then I laughed at her. Yeah. And I was like, no, that's Travis Haley.
My favorite scenario is the one where we're like lounged behind Travis's house and we're like eating a hot dog, drinking a beer. And the SWAT team surrounds the house because they're there for his trigger finger. And they're like, you men need to move to a safe position. And we're like, no, we're going to be good, man. We've seen this guy in action. Go get him. And we're like all excited to watch.
Well, this show has digressed.
Oh, I thought it was going pretty well. All right, listen. What is going on in Vegas?
No one knows.
What is happening?
Nobody knows.
What is...
I mean, they say they know, but then they change their mind.
The only thing I can equate this to is if suddenly George Bush got on TV and was like, on second thought, they might not have used planes. And everybody's like, what? And he goes, we're just not really sure how it happened. And everybody goes, but you gave us a pretty clear story here, and there's videos. I mean, we've seen the video. We're not. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this is from FoxNews.com. Clark County Sheriff Joe Lombardo has said that the gunman shot and wounded a Mandalay Bay hotel security guard outside his hotel room and sprayed 200 bullets down the hallway 6 minutes before he opened fire from his high-rise suite on a crowd at a country music festival. That's a different account from the one police gave last week, that the gunman shot the unarmed guard, Jesus Campos, after unleashing his barrage of fire on the crowd, where 58 people were killed. Quote, this remains an ongoing investigation with a lot of moving parts. As evidenced by law enforcement briefings over the past week, many facts are still unverified and continue to change as events are under review. This is from Deborah Deschamps, a spokeswoman for MGM Resorts International. She continues to say, quote, we cannot be certain about the most recent timeline that has been communicated publicly, and we believe what is currently being expressed may not be accurate. My friend, what is going on in Las Vegas where the hotel, who obviously has access to all the video evidence of the incident, is saying the police are not telling you the truth? That's a very nice, buttered way of saying the police aren't telling you the truth. But at the end of the day, she is telling us that the police are not telling us the truth. What is going on?
I don't understand why this is still being handled by the local sheriff,
who seems to be utterly incompetent at this point.
Well, I watched the press conference the other day where Laura Loomer, if you're familiar
I am.
With her work on Twitter, she is...
If you're not, get familiar. She's awesome.
Yeah, so she's a independent investigative journalist. I think she used to work for Project Veritas. But she basically was asking some questions about the timeline and was stymied. And then later on, the sheriff basically answered her question. I don't know if that was by accident or not, but it was very awkward. The whole thing was awkward. And it seemed like he had this statement that was written for him, and he read it as if he had never heard it before. It just seems very strange to me. Yep. He's stumbling and stuttering over his words. It sounds like he's about to say something, but then he sort of retracts and then changes course. And so now the question is, what was going on in that 6 minutes before he unleashed fire down on all those 22,000 people?
It doesn't take you 6 minutes to ride the elevator up 34 floors.
No, I mean,
what is going on?
There's guys saying you could get from your car to your room on the 32nd floor in a matter of a couple of minutes anyway.
Absolutely.
So security guards hit, a maintenance worker finds him, and I guess somehow rescues him.
Which would tie into the fact, not the fact.
Alleged.
To the reports, I guess we'll say, the rumors.
Allegations. That
the security guard was responding to the sound of drilling in the room, right? Some hammering and banging or drilling.
See, I haven't even heard that.
Okay.
The official report that I heard, again, air quotes on official, is that the security guard was responding to an alarm for a door that was propped open. Now, whether that's true or not, I have no idea. I'm just telling you what I saw, what I read.
Okay, I'm reading through the story. I can't remember where I read that, but okay, go ahead with your point.
Apparently, he did do some drilling in the room. Apparently, he was drilling in the wall. It wasn't whatever he was drilling. He never completed it, so he stopped. So maybe there's some validity there. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know where I got mine. By the way, that might just be speculation I read somewhere, and so maybe disregard me saying
chemtrails.com. Didn't you?
Probably. Maybe it wasn't drilling. But that aside, you're right. It's all convoluted now. What?
So I heard what they claim is audio from radio traffic from the maintenance staff, where he calls into.
Who's he? The security guard?
The maintenance worker calls into wherever their central location and says, "Hey, there's someone shooting a machine gun on the 32nd floor," and then he attempts to save the security guard. But apparently there's no record of the security guard radioing in that he's been shot in the leg by a guy with a rifle. So I feel like we're missing a lot of parts of the story. And again, I've said it to anyone who will listen to me. I don't know why we can't see all the video of this guy checking in and moving about the hotel. Apparently, one of the other things Laura Loomer has discovered is that Stephen Paddock checked in much earlier than the official timeline said. I think they said he checked in on the 28th, and now they're saying he actually checked in on the 25th, and he made multiple trips to and from his house and the hotel in the days leading up to the actual attack.
Here's another weird part, and I haven't read through this full story that I'm going to highlight your point with here, but is the security guard alive or dead?
He's alive.
You sure of that? They've told us he's alive and breathing?
It's my understanding.
Right, but have you read explicitly that he's okay and in a hospital somewhere?
Now that you mention it, no, I guess not.
Yeah.
I have seen and heard an interview with the maintenance worker.
Yes, okay, so that's the story I have up for reference right now.
But I have not seen or heard any interview with Jesus Campos.
I hate to be overly cynical here, but it's just odd to me that they're leaving us hanging on the idea of whether or not Jesus Campos is still alive. Campos. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. But if he is still alive or not was a question I had for several days after the incident. And I've just moved to assuming he's still alive because they haven't explicitly said he's dead, but they haven't highlighted the fact that he's still alive.
I may have jumped to that conclusion as well.
The NewYorkDailyNews.com, NewYorkDailyNews.com. The hotel engineer at the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino says he radioed for help as soon as the gunman started shooting at him and a security guard, saying, quote, "I could feel the bullets pass right behind my head." That's engineer Stephen Shuck. He told Today on NBC News this morning, "Something hit me in the back." Shuck was on a higher level at the Las Vegas casino when he got a call to look at a fire exit door that wouldn't open. There you go. That's probably what you got there, Helon.
Sounds about right.
He was asked to look at a fire exit door that wouldn't open on the 32nd floor. That's the same floor where Paddock would fire on a concert 1,200 feet below, killing 58 people. New details released earlier this week indicate the shooter shot hotel security guard Jesus Campos 6 minutes before he shot at the crowd, contradicting earlier statements from law enforcement. The engineer was just entering the hallway when the first round of bullets went off at 9:59 p.m. He says, "As soon as they stopped, I saw Jesus pop out. He yelled at me to take cover." Man, this dude knew what he was doing. The security guard was no slouch, man. He was no Dan Bilzerian.
Bingo.
As soon as I started to go through a door to my left,
loser.
The rounds started coming down the hallway. He said he radioed for help once the shooting did stop, ran down the hallway and took cover with the security guard. So the security guard was apparently behind cover. Audio obtained by NBC News indicates the engineer alerted his superiors that the shooter was firing some 200 rounds within the hotel hallway. I'll say this just to be safe. I will say this. That's almost impossible to speculate. Because if you've ever been in a room where people are shooting guns and it surprises you, having an accurate count of rounds, if we're just going off a terrified hotel worker, and I'm not, listen, I don't want to discount this guy's horrifying experience in any way, but quite frankly, it could have been 20. Like, honest to God, it could have been 20, it could have been 200. I doubt it was 20.
It could have been 400.
It could have been 1,000, yeah, but I'm asking everyone to err on the side of caution for just once with this story.
They said that the cover that he was behind was actually where the doors are to the rooms in the hall. There's actually about a 1 foot deep setback.
Yeah, there's usually that little space where you can get in. It's just you and your door.
Yep.
Is that what you mean?
So they said the security guard, once he was hit, basically kind of backed up to one of the doors, and that's where he was hiding until it stopped.
Unreal. It's one of those things where everybody's speculating, nobody seems to have the fact, and it only gets worse as time goes on. So,
well, the fact that they're changing the story, though, the timeline has changed.
Right.
Like you alluded to at the top, all it does is fuel conspiracy theories. And I feel like conspiracy theories have that negative connotation of crazy people talking about crazy stuff. And the aliens that took them up on their spaceship and probed them.
Right.
In this particular scenario, I don't know that it has the same connotation. And what I mean by that is they're not telling us. So what choice do people have other than to form some sort of theory on their own? And if you want to call that a conspiracy theory, go ahead. I tend to believe it's just people speculating. Mm-hmm. It's not some. There are some conspiracy theories out there. In fact, someone told me that they thought that Adam Lanza, who committed the Sandy Hook killings, survived that, was still alive, and was now Stephen Paddock, and that's who actually did it. So there's some nut jobs out there that are spreading some crazy stuff.
That's weird.
Yeah. I mean, so that I'm not going to say that negative connotation of conspiracy theory isn't out there. It is. I'm just saying, until we are actually presented a timeline that makes sense, that actually backs up to police radio traffic and video evidence, things that have a timestamp, then I just don't see how we can draw any other conclusions. People are going to keep speculating.
Yeah. Well, that's our nature. We want to know whether or not we know the truth, right? And I think that's totally fine and natural. It's this thing where if you tell me 2 + 2 = 4, I go, Okay, well, I've never heard that before. So if I have 2 here and I have 2 more, so that's 4, and I make the motion, and you go, yeah, look, here's 2 and here's 2. Now count them individually, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah, I have to figure that out. That's an easy thing to figure out, but that I think is a good example of we have to see it, we have to validate it, we have to know it's true, and we do that from day one. Yeah,
I think a lot of people are looking for motive, and I understand that. But let's put motive aside for a second. Let's just talk about the timeline.
How would we ever know anyway?
Right.
Speaking of sensationalism, this crap that he left a note is so stupid. It was a dope chart. It wasn't even a note. And I'm so sick of people going, well, killer leaves a note. And by the way, since I'm thinking about the Blaze in my head right now, does anybody else read theblaze.com? Dear The Blaze and Glenn Beck, stop with this garbage new layout of your website where when I read a story, it says, what is the story? And then there's like a blurb, and then it goes, what does the story mean? And there's another blurb, and then it says, what can you take from the story? And there's a blurb, and it says, what should you tell your friends about the story? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
It's the most absurd thing. And then, of course, they posted on their Facebook, and they were like
Sesame Street for news? Like,
absolutely.
What's going on here?
We'll play it out in real time here. I'm going to go to theblaze.com, but in the meantime, they were the ones that posted like how unbelievable the killer's note was, or you'll never imagine what the note says. And then you go there, and it's like, it said how high to aim above the crowd. And while that's a terrible thing, that's not a note. That's what we call a dope chart. He's sighting in his rifle. He's thinking about the mathematics between how far away he is from the crowd and his target and how he wants to hit it. It's not a note saying, here's why I did it. And that's what they wanted everyone to think, so they would click on it. It's clickbait. All right, in real time, I just visited theblaze.com, and I clicked on the first thing, and it was Mike Ditka said the
Bears.
Poor the Blaze. See, sometimes I feel like I'm stupid, and I have to slow down for a second.
It just made you speechless, so it must be bad.
Well, because I was reading it 3 and 4 times to make sure I'm not a moron. I firmly believe that I have some sort of form of something where when I read, I tend to jumble words together. Do you do that? Like if I read and I don't slow myself down, I will combine words, and I'll have to go back and say, I thought that said not. Oh, no. It said no and this. Anyway.
No, I think you're just special.
Probably. I mean, it could be. All right. So the headline reads, I'm going to read it verbatim.
Got a regular old beautiful mind across from me right now.
Let me go ahead and take a screen cap in case the Blaze sues me for this.
You start drawing on windows with a grease pencil. We're going to have a talk, buddy.
Right over there. I'm a genius. My friend Barry said I could do it. Okay. My wife, it's funny, they're never in the same room. All right, theblaze.com, here's the headline. Mike Ditka said his oppression comments, God bless these stupid people, were out of context. Listen, sorry, just let me rabbit trail. I used to work for the Blaze, okay? They let us all go because they couldn't get their head on straight.
Because they do stuff like this?
Yes. And then I see Mr. Beck, who I love dearly, by the way. And I mean sincerely, I think the man changed my life. I'm going to be real clear. I don't try and just pick on him. I was a somewhat wayward 26, 28-year-old guy when Glenn was starting to make splashes on CNN headline news. And when I heard his backstory, that he had been a top 40 DJ, as I was at the time, and he had actually gone on to do something meaningful, that actually meant a lot to me. And I say that sincerely. But now when I hear him talk about, well, we're gonna stand on principle even if we go broke. If it takes us going broke to stand on principle, and I want to say, maybe you're not going broke because of principle. Maybe it's because of the shoddy work the people around you keep doing. And here's a prime example. The headline. Mike Ditka said his oppression comments were out of context. Here's what he meant. Nobody proofreads the headline?
What?
Nobody proofread that headline. My God, what is going on? Aaron Colin is
Apparently
a staff writer who needs to be reprimanded. All right. So here's how it goes. Former Chicago Bears head coach Mike Ditka, blah, blah, blah. One paragraph. Then it says, the apology and clarification. Quote, I want to clarify statements that I made in an interview. Blah, 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 blah. What he originally said. Blah, 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 blah. Then, when asked about the injustices the athletes are protesting, colon, and more quotes. I hate that format. It doesn't make any sense to me. So could you please stop with that? And please stop sensationalizing things like the killer's note. If you're going to stand on principle and just go, there was no note.
Here's an idea, journalist. Tell the story.
or tell us why other people aren't telling the story, which is what made Glenn Beck Glenn Beck. The idea would be why the note doesn't matter, because there is no note. That should have been your headline. Why the note doesn't matter, or actually there is no note. That's what you make the headline. Actually, there is no note. And people go, what? What? Las Vegas.
But I thought there was, so I'm going to click on it and read it.
And they click in, you're right. And then you go, there never was a note. It was a dope chart. It's a common thing that shooters use, even when they're just zeroing in a rifle at the range. And everybody goes, well, thank God we have the blaze to set us straight, because otherwise I wouldn't have known there was actually never a note. Everybody else is calling it a note. But what you got is a guy who has spread himself thin, and he's putting power in the hands of wrong people. Glenn, call me. We'll fix it. I don't know how I got on all that. I take everything so personally. I got to stop with that. Okay. So Vegas is confusing. If you have any insight, we'd love to hear it. You can email us, Chris, K-R-I-S, at feltrecoilshow.com, or Patrick, common spelling for common man, at feltrecoilshow.com. Before we go anywhere else, I'm going to try and keep it short, but it's probably not going to happen. This one drives me crazy. Our VOTA of the week. I don't speak Northern, so if I mispronounce these places, forgive me. Is it Michigan? Michigan. All right. Sorry. A Michigan rapist is going to get joint custody of the child that was a result of him raping the child's mother. Let that sink in. My word, what a world. From DetroitNews.com, a Sanilac County Circuit Judge has granted parenting time and joint legal custody of an 8-year-old boy to a convicted sex offender who allegedly raped the child's mother 9 years ago. Christopher Mirasolo is 27 of Brown City. If he hasn't died in prison yet, it should come soon. He was awarded joint legal custody by Judge Gregory S. Ross after DNA testing established paternity of the child, according to the victim's attorney, Rebecca Kiesling, who is seeking protection under the Federal Rape Survivor Child Custody Act. A hearing is scheduled for October 25th. The case... All right. I didn't know this. I got to read the whole articles from this point forward.
Man.
The case, initially reported on the Steve Gruber show. All right. I'm wrong. Okay. I thought that was the... Okay. I'm so off here. We're not cutting this up. What was the Jerry Springer spinoff show? What was his name? Steve?
It was Steve something. Yeah, I don't know.
God, that's what I thought when I saw this. Okay, that's not the case. I'm sorry, it's not the case. The case initially reported on the Steve Gruber show, which is a Lansing-based radio program. I thought it was that bald dude from Jerry Springer.
The security guy?
Yeah. Steve.
Yeah, I don't know what his last name was.
It's believed to be the first of its kind in Michigan and possibly the nation, according to the victim and her attorney. It was prompted after the county surveyed the victim regarding child support she had received the past year. Her attorney calls it insane and filed objections, saying nothing has been right about this since it was initially investigated. He was never properly charged and should still be sitting behind bars somewhere, but the system is victimizing my client, who was a child herself when all this happened.
Steve Wilkos, by the way.
Thank you very much. All right, ready? According to the attorney, Mirasolo forcibly raped and threatened to kill her client, who's now 21 years old. Are you with me? The client is 21 now, and the child is 8 years old. Do the math. Mirasolo, God bless, was 18 himself when he raped a 12-year-old child. Look, here's what we got to do. So that the judge is your vote of the week. I'm going to leave it at that. We have to institute some form of punishment for this rape garbage. That and maybe it's different now because I have a daughter and have a wife. But I think I would have been as upset 10 years ago. We have to do something that is absolutely such a discouragement because the retribution is so hard. There isn't a law in the books that has ever prevented a crime. We know that. Guys don't go out thinking, I might rape a woman today and then not do it because it's illegal. Right? Okay? No law has ever prevented a crime. And it's the argument we make about gun laws all the time. Even Dianne Feinstein has said, hey, there's no law that would prevent in Vegas, but here's a law that will prevent gun violence. Shut up.
I'm still in shock that she admitted that. I don't think she knows she actually admitted.
She's not smart enough.
No.
Excuse me, Senator. Was there a law that would have prevented it? No, I mean, no law could have prevented it. But excuse me, I have a press conference. All right, I'd like to show everybody this new law. It's against gun violence because my
see
lobbyist...
how excited everyone was when they found out she was running again?
No.
So she just announced her re-election bid.
No kidding.
And no one was excited.
Nobody was there.
No one.
Nobody cared. Laws are meant to deter, but they don't. And we just I mean, maybe that's not entirely true because speeding laws deter people from speeding. I do believe that. You don't speed because you don't want the $200 fine. I get it. Maybe you don't steal because you don't want the jail time. I get it. But when somebody wants to commit a crime and is intent on committing the crime, they're going to do it anyway. People speed every day because they want to be to work faster. They want to go wherever they're going quicker. Quite frankly, I get to work when I get to work. Okay, I'd rather tell my boss, oh yeah, sorry about being 10 minutes late. You know what I'm saying? The $200 fine. It's just the way it is. So laws don't work that way, but...
Lucky for you have an understanding boss.
He's a jerk. But we tend to... We want to believe that. But to me... What does deter things is a visible consequence to the action, okay? So it's not the law that deters the speeding, but the $200 fine that you've paid once before, okay? Once the punishment has been implemented, you understand you don't want to do it again. We have to reach an agreement.
Hence the idea of punishment.
Right. As a society, we have to say, how do we tell people, stop it with the rape? Stop it. And especially the rape of children. It's insane. It's insane to think that an 18-year-old man raped a 12-year-old girl. Even that he would have consensual sex with a 12-year-old girl is beyond my comprehension. But he did it, and he got her pregnant. Now the stupid judge up in Michigan goes, well, it's an allegation. He should still get joint custody because, it's still rape. Isn't federal law 14 and under? Is that right for statutory rape?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's 14. Who are we as a society? Anyway, you take dudes like this and you hang them publicly. And I mean that sincerely. Sincerely. If I'm not mistaken, at least 2 years ago, public hangings were still legal in the state of Washington. I don't know if they took that off the books or not. But you legitimately take a guy like this downtown and you hanging from the gallows and you let him twitch and you let people watch his neck break and they go, holy crap, that's terrible. What happened? He raped a girl, and he admitted it. He raped her. Oh, all right. Guess I won't do that. You know what I'm saying? You got to get something going. You got to get it going. You got to take guys like this off the street. Because I'm telling you right now, some dude does this to my daughter at some point, I won't let him make it to court. Mark my words. I don't care. Lock me up. I'll kill him before he gets to court. I guarantee it. I'll kill him before he gets to court.
This begs the question.
Because at this point, what am I supposed to believe except that he'll get partial custody of the kid?
That's a good point. Begs the question.
Yes, sir.
You don't need to apologize. Why did we ever move away from public executions? Because I don't have a problem with it.
Well,
because I think they probably are actually a pretty good deterrent. I mean, it's the end all be all to the $200 speeding ticket. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
is it because we think we're such an enlightened society?
I think it's, yeah. Actually, I do. I think it's because we perverted the phrase cruel and unusual. Honestly. We started perverting the idea that the founder said, well, there will be no cruel or unusual punishment. And we go, you know what's cruel and unusual? Hanging someone in public.
So raping a 12-year-old girl is not cruel and unusual.
Right.
But hanging them until they're dead somehow is. Okay. Nah.
Right.
Well, nah.
Here's the thing.
I'm not buying it.
Well, I think the argument against you would be, and I'm not saying I agree with it, I'm going to turn it on its head. The argument against you would be, well, Patrick, as a society, we have to be better than the people that perpetrate these crimes. As a society, we need to be on a higher echelon.
Sure.
Okay.
So my retort is end his life, and then we will be.
Exactly right.
End him.
You took the words out of my mouth.
And then we move along.
Absolutely.
And anyone who falls into the same fray, end them.
Yep. Because here's what happens, okay? You get a guy that rapes the child of okay, so you have a parent, you have Bob, right? And Bob has a daughter named Sue, and Sue is raped by Larry or whomever, right? The rapist goes to jail for the rest of his life. And Bob is told by society to find some solace in the fact that he'll now get to pay for Larry to live the rest of his days with a comfortable bed to sleep in, a hot meal to eat 3 times a day, and cable television, and pizza, by the way, if he's good. And I'm not making that up to be funny. In Greenville County, they used to bring pizza in to the inmates if they behaved for the week. Friday would be pizza day. That's not a joke. That's a true story. That is how absurd the criminal justice system has become in this country, that they're basically babysitting, which, I think I've said this before, I have 3 friends who work inside of the detention center in Greenville County, and we talk a lot, I hear their stories, and I always go, man, your job is like to be the babysitter of grown-ups. I could never do it. Like, God bless you for doing it, because it sounds so obnoxiously hard to do, because those people are so just absurd in their behavior. And they go, yeah, it pretty much is, except these are adults who will fight us. They will literally try and beat us into a pulp if we allow them. We can't turn our backs on them for a second. And then we reward them with pizza night. Friday, Tuesday nights, whatever. They took it away here locally. But when I heard that, I really literally almost had a brain aneurysm, because I couldn't believe that we lived in such a society. But that's what we do. And these aren't, by the way, like, well, they caught a jaywalker and put him in there. Sure, that guy goes there. But the rapist that gets arrested, through his trial and until he's sentenced, goes there as well. So these are guys who have brutalized little girls. These are people who have taken other people's lives. And they're hanging out getting pizza, cable television. And so we as a society, back to your point, say to the dad, we say to Bob, Sue's dad, you now have to pay for him to have these luxuries. And Bob goes,
for the rest of his life.
For the rest of his natural life. And Bob goes, like hell I'm doing that. And we go, whoa, Bob, cruel and unusual punishment. Slow down, buddy. He goes, wait a second. Look at what he did to my daughter. What are you talking about? And we as a society go, Bob, we have to be better than that. Bob, slow down. I don't understand it. I think you kill them publicly. I'm very serious about that. I think you take them out and hang them. I think you do whatever you got to do. And what I think should happen, by the way, is that the parents should go watch it. And then the parents come back, and the kids go, where you been? And you go, well, they hanged the dude because he raped a little girl. What? Yeah. It's hard to watch, but that's what happens. In this society, you do that kind of barbarism in our society, we snuff it out. We snuff it out quick. So I hate having to watch it, but yeah, it's the way it goes, man. I don't know why we ever got away from it. Except that, truly, I would believe if you went back and looked, people go, well, it's cruel and unusual. We can't do that to people.
Yeah, the
We're
ACLU, probably. If I had to guess. Just throwing that out there.
All apologies to my dad. We're about 23 minutes over the hour mark. Sorry, fella. He never made it this far. He fell asleep at like 6:30. All right. Listen, that's going to be a wrap for episode 47 of the Felt Recoil podcast. In 5 more episodes, it will have been 1 year of doing this continuously. Congratulations to you, Hulan.
And right back at you, I guess. I don't know why we're patting each other on the back, but that's cool.
Yeah, we might not make it. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. This might not last.
You do drive me nuts, so there's that.
All right. Again, please visit us online, facebook.com/Felt Recoil Show. We're always glad to talk to you there. And we're on Twitter. All the socials, really. If you're on a social, look us up on the social. Felt Recoil Show. Andrew, nice to talk to you again. Hope you guys take care in Atlanta. We are going to come down and shoot with you very soon. And we'll see you next time for episode 48 of the Felt Recoil Podcast.